Congratulations, 69 Chop Shop and the Chinnist, you both won a giveaway. Comic fam, enjoy the first trending list of 2022. Another year, another list of the trending comics in the comic book marketplace. We're here every 7 days for the comic fam. Slap the subscribe, hit the like button, stay tuned to the end because you know we got a giveaway on deck. And we're with an Overstreet Price Guide advisor, Russ Bright.
Tom, it is always a pleasure to be here, and I kind of thought we were going to ease into this list. Nope. Everyone's coming out swinging, a lot of fire on the list, and you have to stay tuned to number one because there is a big baddie with some serious implications that are going to blow apart universes you thought you knew.
The first comic of 2022 we have at the list at number 10, Infinite Crisis number 3, the first appearance of Jaime Reyes in comics with a Jim Lee cover with George Perez on the inside, $20 average sales, $100 for a CGC 9.8 that sold at the end of December. Months ago, this book was hitting 200, an increase of 178% this week in copies sold. This may be a prime time to grab this key book.
Now, we've been talking about Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle, for a couple years now. This spec isn't going anywhere, but we had a bump back in October when there was news that HBO Max was going to be doing a television series. Now we have news, as recently as December, that is getting moved to a movie. Well, the actor Cholo Maridueña has been talking about doing 2 costume fittings already.
This book came out in 2006. Cholo did an interview with USA Today talking about how nervous he was. These are kind of high stakes for this actor because he's never done a leading role for a theatrical release. You'll know him from Cobra Kai, however, because he did such a great job portraying a Karate Kid that it got him the deal for Blue Beetle. We have 2 other variants you need to take a look at. The George Perez variant, which is hitting $18 average sales and a high sale of $150 for a CGC 9.8. There's also a second print of cover A. It's the same Jim Lee cover, but it's black and white, and that's hitting $20 averages.
Number 9 on the list, Taskmaster number 3. We are seeing $30 average sales and $130 for a high sale of a CGC 9.8. This is the first appearance of Taiguchi and the first partial appearance of the Tiger Division team. This book has seen a 200% increase in copies sold this week.
We also placed this book at number 9 on our top 10 list of all of 2021. This second print has come up in multiple conversations because it features Taiguchi on the cover. And by the way, that book's hitting $8 average sales. Pretty affordable.
This Taskmaster run was absolutely fantastic and really one of the most underrated reads of the year. Jed MacKay did a fantastic job writing, and Valerio Giordano's covers for all 5 issues are stunning.
We get an introduction of Taiguchi because Taskmaster puts him in a situation where he needs to show up. He shrinks down courtesy of that Scott Lang juice. I said that, yes. And he also hitches a ride, because he's really small, all the way back to the home base where he's trying to infiltrate. Taiguchi kicks ass. He's like the Superman of the Marvel Universe. He's got lasers shooting out of his eyes. The dude's impenetrable, and he hasn't shown up much in comics since, but I have high hopes for him.
So this is a new and refreshing take on the Taskmaster character. He's actually being framed for murder and has to team up with Nick Fury to be able to absolve himself. The fact that Black Widow shows up is just icing on this cake.
Yeah, because this is a villain story. Technically, although she's a good guy, she is the antagonist of this run. Everyone needs to read this just to watch Taskmaster swing some clubs on the golf course. He's driving that thing around just like I would like to, but you'll get in trouble. You can't do that. You can't drive those golf carts. Next at the list at number 8, Miles Morales spec. We have Miles Morales SpiderMan number 8 making the list.
$30 average sales, $185 for CGC 9.8. This is the first appearance of the Assessor, a super violent character.
That's right. This is a machine. He's AI. It's AI. And Miles gets captured, and the Assessor's job is, because of a payment they received, to do what they do as a business: dissect, learn, do testings and experiments on the subjects. And that's what this character does in this comic book. Miles gets tortured, and with the help of Tony Stark, the narrative gets resolved. However, the spec towards this, an increase of 457%, is because Miles is a great spec character. People are after key books. This is indeed a villain in the run, but this is such a dark narrative. I personally am not very hot about this book. I don't see this happening.
Now, this book was put on the radar by J1 Future Spider Spec, and this is a collaboration with Key Collector. J1 has been really good about Spider Spec and finding some of these books that no one's been talking about. This might be a little bit of a stretch, though.
Coming out in 2019, written by Saladin Ahmed and Patrick O'Keefe doing the illustrations. This is a stellar cover regardless, and not a whole lot of people were grading it, making that 9.8 kind of tough to grab. And with the CGC wait times being what they are, it's probably going to be a while till we see them hit the marketplace. At the list at number 7, we have Mighty Thor number 12. We have covered so much Donny Cates spec over the last few years, but 2021 was kind of dry. We didn't talk on the mic very much at all about back issues that were spiking because of the current runs until today, the first week of 2022.
$12 average sales and no recent high to speak of. Origin of Mjolnir, Thor's Hammer.
Written by Jason Aaron and Russell Dodderman back in 2016. This is a origin of Mjolnir. You see how it was forged. You actually see Odin trap Storm, one of the oldest entities in the cosmos since the Big Bang, inside of Mjolnir after he receives a rock from the dwarves that he saves from some other nefarious individuals, warriors and trolls that were causing a ruckus. Well, this gift, this symbolism of partnership and dedication to the gods bestowed by the dwarves started a relationship that would be endless, and an increase of 750% this week because of a reveal at the end of Thor freaking 20.
After a substantial tease in Thor 19, Thor 20 answers the question, who is the God of Hammers?
Now, we knew we were getting a new character. The run is literally called the God of Hammers, and it is revealed to be in Thor 20, causing $15 average sales on that book. But who the God of Hammers is, I'll leave that to the comic fam to discover because it's glorious. And Thor 20 made the trending 20. It's where we source these 10 comic books from. And you can support what we do by downloading the best comic app in existence, Key Collector Comics. Use code TOM101 to unlock a free 2-week subscription. Get suggested pricing, multiple categories, learn so much about the industry, and so much more.
This 2016 run, written by Jason Aaron and drawn by Russell Dodderman, is a fantastic read, and you need to be paying attention because I have a very strong feeling with Donnie doing these things and the new Thor movie coming out, we're going to see more of these books spike.
God Butcher, anyone? At the list at number 6, Swamp Thing Green Hell number 1. This book is glorious. It's oversized. It's DC Black Label. It's not in continuity. And we have Jeff Lemire. We have Doug Menke just doing a creative spree, writing some incredibly disturbing stuff that's got the community buzzing. $7 average sales this week.
Now, this book came out right before the holidays, and you expect a slow burn as people pick up their comics as they're coming in after Christmas, after New Year's, and the fact that this has a 500% increase this week is mind-blowing. It's oversized, it's more expensive, and it's a character, Swamp Thing, that we don't necessarily have a bunch of people buying. But all of a sudden, this book is revving on all engines, and everyone's got to pick it up.
And that 500% includes the variants that accompany this book. People are after all the copies of this run, and it takes place in a dystopian world, probably post-global warming, where the sea rises up to push humans to have to live on mountainsides, and we have a problem that has to be resolved. The parliaments in Swamp Thing lore. You have the Green Parliament, which is vegetation. You have the Red Parliament, things with blood in them, living beings, humans, animals. And then you have the Rot Parliament, death, decay. They are part of a trifecta needed to create balance for all of Earth. And when the sea rises, there's not enough of any of those three things. So they have to do something. They have to create a new creature to bring balance. And what they create is made this comic book a key.
When they first announced Black Label, we were very excited because writers and artists were going to push the boundaries of DC characters without having to mess up continuity. We have gotten dark. we have gotten gritty, and this Swamp Thing is no exception with an incredible reveal.
At the list at number 5, spec getting confirmed this last week, we have the High Evolutionary inbound. With Thor 134 making the list, $975 average sales, a 6.0 that sold January 4th for $650. The day before, a 6.5 selling for $550, and at the end of December, same grade, selling for $485. This book is moving up by the day.
314% increase in copies sold this week, and we have news that Chukwudi Iwuji is going to be playing the High Evolutionary. James Gunn came out this week and said that they have resumed filming on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and it would have been crazy for him to let such a fantastic actor as Chuck go. Now, next week, when the Peacemaker show comes out, Chukwudi Iwuji will be playing a new character, but you also may have seen him in Shakespeare in the Park, starring as Othello in New York.
High Evolutionary has been on spec radar for quite some time because we've heard rumors that Rocket Raccoon will be one of the characters getting further development, more of an origin tale told in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Also, Nebula and Gamora getting similar treatment. High Evolutionary does experiments on species. He makes new species, new planets. He's a big baddie. He's gone up against Galactus in the past, and he also has ties to Adam Warlock, which was also confirmed with an actor attached, Will Poulter, at the end of 2021.
But if you can't wait until Guardians of the Galaxy 3, you will be able to see Chukwudi playing Clemson Myrn in the Peacemaker television show, a no-nonsense law enforcement person, a lot like Peacemaker himself.
At the list at number 4, we have Omega the Unknown, issue number 1, taking it back to 1976, written by Steve Gerber from Howard the Duck fame. But this 10-issue run is so underrated and undervalued, drawn by Ed Hannigan.
$50 average sales, $225 for a CGC 9.6 at the end of December before news this week broke. This is the first appearance of Omega the Unknown and first appearance of James Michael Starling, who we'll talk about in just a second. Keep in mind, this is a very experimental era for Marvel Comics. You had Jack Kirby's new creations, Machine Man and Devil Dinosaur. They borrowed Godzilla from Taiyo Studios in Tokyo. They had Shogun Warriors, which was based on an action figure. This was a very experimental time for them.
An increase of 464% for this comic book over the last 7 days. Darkhold Omega number 1, the one-shot, finishes up, rounds out the Scarlet Witch Darkhold narrative that's been taking place over the last few months. And without giving up too much reveals, because this is a comic worth reading, there is a key moment where doom is impending and they're saved by the reintroduction of James Michael Starling, someone we haven't seen in over a decade.
The fact that they brought him back as a character is great. The fact that they misspelled Omega the Uncone on the front of the design variant is not.
Whoops, happens, unfortunately. However, the attention to this 1976 run is something that's really exciting because, as you mentioned, it was something that was a testing ground that was happening. And this is a solicited superhero book that's more kind of Naomi vibes happening on the interior. Less superhero fighting on the interior and more mystery unfolding. What is the relationship between James Michael Starling and Omega the Unknown? By the way, the superhero, Omega, doesn't even speak in the comic books. It's not about him. Although he's present, it's more about the relationship between him and James that gets revealed over the course of 10 issues, but doesn't get resolved. And it looks like we are about to get further narratives developed soon.
In very atypical fashion, the boy's parents are killed in a car crash only to reveal that his mother is a robot.
And that robot head does indeed make a return, flying around with her son in Darkhold Omega number 1. Next on the list, we have at number 3, Incredible Hulk 158, a character that appears once and dies in the same issue. And Bill Murray may be attached. The man who knew too little. What's going on?
$120 average sales for the first appearance of Krylar, a scientist who makes a weapon for a crazed warlord. 1,075% increase in copies sold because there are rumors that Bill Murray may be attached for this Quantumania tie-in. Now, this is not the first time time Bill Murray has showed up in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. In the 70s, there was a Fantastic Four radio show, and he did the dialogue for Human Torch. So this is indeed not the first time he has dabbled in the MCU. However, this character, Krylar, essentially goes full Lupin from Harry Potter, using this weapon to create the subject that it's being pointed at's biggest fear. And it's used to try to defeat the Hulk. And what is the Hulk's biggest fear? Himself. He has to go up against another Hulk. But no worries, Bruce Banner kicks ass.
Now, I have talked about the cover of this book before because it's Bruce Banner's brain in the Hulk's body, so it's kind of a prototype Professor Hulk. I know it didn't take a whole lot of traction, but this is a classic Archie Goodwin, Herb Trimpe book.
The Hulk would emerge triumphant. However, Krylar's failure would lead to his demise all in one issue. This is such a strange spec because it's a come and go character that I think members are like, this could happen. Why else would this one random character be picked from all the rest? He could be anyone. He could be a variant. He could be another Kang. The slate is open. So go soft on this one, but I find it interesting regardless.
Tick tock, comic fam. Number 2 on the list, the timeless number 1 Miss Minutes variant.
Wow.
2 weeks in a row. Last week we were reporting $20 average sales. This week, $35 average sales and a 1,008% increase in copies sold.
We have a Kang-focused narrative, a colliding pirate timeline that he's trying to deal with that's foreshadowing so much ruckus that's going to take place in all of 2022, setting the stage for so many different narratives. We also get a Doctor Doom reveal that makes this comic worth reading alone. We also see the foreshadowing of Thanos wielding Mjolnir covered in the Infinity Gems. That's going to come full circle after a full year since the debut of Thor 6, when we saw that future that Thor was bestowed by the Black Winter, and Miracle Man is coming. This is a comic book to grab, and considering this is the first appearance of Miss Minutes, Marvel's noticed and they're bringing it back to print.
You are correct, Tom. There is a second print of this book coming. The main cover has Punisher with his new costume, but there is a 1 in 25 variant and a 1 in 50 black and white version of this Miss Minutes cover reveal.
Now, Punisher on the cover, it's cool. I don't think people are going to be gunning for it for that reason. However, a 1 in 25 variant sounds like we're getting another Miss Minutes variant that may be prime for speculation. And considering a second print alt cover, I think Marvel is listening to the fans. They know they have a hot one on their hands.
Number 1 on the list, we teased a big baddie, and behind that one, an even bigger big baddie, Star Wars. Darth Vader, number 1. The first appearance of Black Chrysanthemum. $35 average sales and a $300 sale, high sale for a CGC 9.8 for the first appearance of the Wookiee bounty hunter.
This is something that we have been waiting on since the start of Disney+. This is something the community has been specking on since prior to the debut of the streaming service. Pulling Marvel Star Wars canon, recent literature, and putting it on the screen has opened the doors for spec to go crazy in the Star Wars universe for all of 22. Black Chrysanthemum making an appearance in the Book of Boba Episode 2 has changed the game for all Star Wars spec. What a way to start the year.
Now, we have been talking about this Kieran Gillen run with amazing art by Adi Granov for a little while now because of the first appearance of Dr. Aphra. Well, now that Black Chrysanthemum has showed up in Disney Plus, we know all bets are off. Any comic book that Marvel has made with Star Wars characters could very well be free game.
This narrative takes place between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. He's one of 2 bounty hunters hired to deal with the ruckus caused by Luke destroying the Death Star. Yes, Boba Fett and Black Chrysanthemum have worked together, which is why we see the interaction take place as we do in Episode 2 of the Book of Boba. Black Chrysanthemum has gone up against Obi-Wan in prior years to what we saw on the screen, and Obi-Wan's going to be getting his own solo series. Hayden Christensen reprising his role. We may see him show up in that series as well for further character development. However, Black Chrysanthemum has worked with Darth Vader. He has worked with Dr. Aphra. all of the spec that we have been hoping, crossing our fingers to actually get translated to the screen, High Republic, anyone, has now become fair game.
Comic fan, what's your favorite pick on this list? Who's your favorite bounty hunter? Make sure you comment down below, like, subscribe, and you'll get a chance to win this Eat the Rich pair of comics courtesy of the Comic Corner.
Donny Cates spec, Star Wars spec going nuts. What a way to start the year. Hi, Evolutionary. We appreciate your time today, as always.
Keep responsibly.
Enough said. Every single Wednesday, you can join me, the whole crew, and so many dealers. Call it Avengers Assemble, getting out the hot books, doing dollar start 60-second auctions on the best new app to buy and sell collectibles, Whatnot. Available for iOS and Androids. Link in the description. Follow the page and join us. We also have 2 other videos for you to check out. We made them for you. Have a great week.